If you shy away from making fish at home because it's annoying or difficult or it makes your house stink, you should try this recipe because it is super easy. It's so delicious. It's perfect for a summer dinner, and your house will just smell like tomatoes and wine. So here we are with a bunch of way overripe, like borderline rotten tomatoes. And I thought, what a great opportunity to show you one of my favorite ways to cook fish, which is in like a very, very simple tomatoey, stewy broth kind of thing. So we're gonna cook fish and it's gonna be great. So let's do it. For this fresh summer fish recipe, I have only 7 ingredients in total, and one of those is this fish, which I actually don't even know what it is. It's a white firm fish. You could do this with really anything, even if it wasn't white, it could be like salmon or something, but I normally do this preparation with halibut or cod. So this looked pretty similar to cod, so we went for it. We're also using a bunch of really mushy, super, super good tomatoes. Like this is where it's at. I've done this before with canned tomatoes, especially if they're like the canned little cherry tomatoes. Those are awesome for this. So this can be like a very easy pantry weeknight kind of thing. I also have 1.5 green onions. Well, they're kind of like fresh white onions, so they still have the green attached. And I have a can of olives. These ones happen to be stuffed with anchovies. I have a jar of capers, because I love capers. And I have a lemon and a little bit of wine and salt, of course. So I have a Dutch oven here, because this is what we have in our little holiday kitchen. So I'm putting it on like medium high heat. And I'm just gonna put in a little bit of olive oil. And all I'm doing is making basically like a quick tomato stew. I'm gonna roughly chop the onions. And then I'm gonna just chop a bunch of these tomatoes up. Like I said, they're very mushy and soggy, so it might not be a very pretty process, but we'll manage. I don't have any garlic today, but this would definitely be a good place for garlic. I'm just gonna soften these onions a little bit. And they're looking like they're already kind of soft, so I'm gonna go in with a bunch of tomatoes. And keep chopping. Ooh, look at this one. Do I dare? Too mushy? Smells good, I'm using it. Ah! This is really when you want to use the ripest tomatoes, even if they are borderline rotten, because they'll be so sweet. It's kind of like, you know, when you're choosing bananas for banana bread. So the tomatoes are bubbling away. I'm just gonna add a big handful of salt, because you know me. This is about a teaspoon or so. And then I'm gonna add decent size. I'm gonna add a splash of white wine too. Totally optional, but I like wine. This one's a bit sweet, so it's good that we have the salt. And then I'm just gonna pop a lid on and let it simmer for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. While the tomatoes are simmering, I'm just gonna chop up a few of these olives. And by a few, I mean like lots. And I'll throw the capers in now too. Some of you might be thinking, wow, she really put in a lot of salt, even though she knew that she was putting olives and capers in too. And yeah, you'd be kind of accurate on that. And now I'm second guessing the amount of salt I put in, but we're gonna hope for the best. And I'm still gonna go crazy with capers because I love them. Half a jar. The tomatoes are kind of starting to break down a bit, which is what I want. Just gonna taste the broth. Ooh, not too salty. I'm just gonna simmer it with the lid off for a few minutes to try and let some of the water escape and evaporate away to kind of concentrate everything. And then we'll put the fish in. So the stewy mixture has been cooking for about, I don't know, 3-4 minutes. And I can see that the juice is starting to get less watery and a little bit more, there's a bit more body because the pectin in the tomatoes is coming out a little bit and everything's just kind of getting really delicious in there. I'm turning down the heat to medium, like exactly 5, and I'm gonna drop the fish in. So you can see here that this piece is quite thin, like very thin, whereas this piece is quite thick. So instead of cutting them up and doing weird things, I'm just gonna put the thick pieces in first, let them cook for a few minutes, and then add the thin piece. And I'm just gently dropping them into the stewy, brothy mixture. They're kind of poaching on the underside, the side that's submerged, and then the top is gonna steam because I'm gonna put the lid on. So there goes the lid. I'll wait about 3 minutes and then put the thin piece in, and then we'll see what it looks like in a few minutes. The fish has been simmering away in this delicious tomatoey, brothy goodness for, I'm gonna say 5 minutes. The way to tell if it's done, there are many ways to check, but my favorite way is to just poke a knife into it, and if the knife goes in and comes out really easily and gives no resistance whatsoever, that's usually a pretty good indicator that it's done. Because when it's not done, the fish is still kind of firm inside, so it kind of grips onto the knife and it gives a little resistance when it's going in. So the knife is just sliding in and out like butter, so it's done. Last little tidbit is just to squeeze a little lemon in. Totally optional, but I like it. Oh, this knife is very unsharp, dull. Dull, the word is dull. I'm gonna see if I can catch the seeds. There's always one that jumps in though, don't you think? Let's see what we have for a serving implement. This will have to do. It does not get easier than this. And you can use whatever ingredients you have, whatever is seasonal. I had a total shit ton of tomatoes, so I used tomatoes. If you have a whack of peppers or a whack of zucchini, I hate the word whack. You could do this with literally any soup recipe you have, any vegetable soup or stew. It's just great. So here we have it. If you're one of those people that think that cooking fish at home is hard and that it's annoying and that it makes your house stink, try this, because this is basically the opposite of that. It's so easy and your house just smells like wine and tomatoes and simmering olives, and it's wonderful. One more little spoon over the top. And then all you need to eat this with is a big hunk of bread or a bunch of hunks of bread. So there we go. That's the easiest fish recipe I know. And it makes a great lunch. It makes a great dinner. It makes a really, really good summer dinner recipe. And it also feeds a crowd. So you could drop as many pieces of fish into this mixture as you want. And everything just cooks really quickly and really evenly. And it's great. So I hope you give it a try. And I hope you feel empowered to cook fish at home using this method. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I really hope you make this because it's so, so good. Perfect for summer. And if you liked it, please share it with a friend because that just helps so, so much. And I'll see you next week.